Okay, so this episode we're going to do a brief introduction to generative music. Um, I won't go on too much about what generative music is, because there's a whole history and philosophy behind it. But basically, it's an attempt to see if a synthesizer can make musical sounding music on its own without playing a tune on it on a keyboard. So it's not just random noises; it's random voltages being kind of guided into a musical outcome. So we'll leave the definition as that for now. So what I mean is, if we look at a random voltage, so let's have a look. Let's get an LFO random voltage and hear what that sounds like. We've done this before, but okay, so this on its own is not what I would call generative music. It's a sound, it's a noise, but it's not, in my opinion, music. So what we want to do is make this a bit less random and kind of try and get it to play musical notes. Now, obviously, the most obvious way of doing that is to get a quantizer, which we've looked at before. So let's take this random voltage into quantizer. Now you'll hear this just won't sound very much different. Because we're just quantizing it to every semitone at the moment. So we've got rid of the half semitones out of this random signal, but it's still just playing all of the white notes and all of the black notes. So what we could do is, let's make this a, we'll just use the C major for now. Okay, so that is still not music, but it's randomly playing the white notes of a keyboard. Now, one thing I notice is that it's playing way too low and way too high to be really a tune. So what we want to do there is, so really this is the process, is we listen to what we've got and we decide how we need to modify it. So let's make that range a bit smaller. Now we're not going to attenuate the output of the quantizer because that will change the scale. So we're going to attenuate this signal going into the quantizer. So that we're just turning this signal down a bit. Okay. Okay, so now it's playing less of those notes. So it's starting to sound a little bit like music. Now, the problem, I think, with this is it's too repetitive. It's just playing every beat. Okay, so one thing we could do, we could get an LFO. So let's get, we'll get another LFO and we'll get an amplifier. So we could we could turn this amplifier on and off. Okay, but as you can hear, it's not turning it off on and off in time with this LFO, which is where our notes are coming from. So that, I mean, that might be an effect we want, but it's not really music. It's not really musical. Okay, so there's different ways we could use a different LFO that is able to be synced to this, but probably a simpler way, or the way I like to do these kind of effects, is to use a let's go to library. Now this is a free module. I'm still trying to use as many of the free modules as I can in these tutorials. So if you look at these are from Dome Music Technologies. They've a lot of great stuff, but this is a bundle of sort of analog computing modules, and so this is a comparator. And what we can do with this is we could take this same signal here, plug it into one of these, and now we get, let's get rid of this LFO because that didn't work. But out of the overflow output here, we get a sort of random intermittent sort of signal that is in time with this. So let's see. So you can hear that's almost music. It's the beginning of a patch that we could turn into music. Now we can also, if we turn this offset down, we'll get more notes, and turn it up, we'll get more pauses. Okay, so that's a look at one way. There's a lot of ways of getting random kind of triggers. Another interesting one we can do is you can use a quantizer. Let's do this down here. Let's get another LFO. Duplicate that. Let's get. Now what we're going to do is put a random voltage into the quantizer, like we've done up here. But what we can do to turn this into a random trigger, which will turn this amp on and off. In fact, let's do what I should have done before. Let's use this same sample and hold so it's in time. Okay, so how that is working is this quantizer here is only putting out a voltage when this LFO puts out a B note. That could be any note. We could make it C. So every time this hits a voltage near to C, the quantizer will output that note, and that will turn this amp on. So it's basically doing very similar to this comparator, but what we can do here is, if we want more notes, we can just select some more like that. Okay, so that's two different ways. There's a lot of different ways we can get intermittent triggers. Now, one of the things, you'll hear these clicks in both of these modules. Let's go back to this one for now. Okay, so we want to get rid of those clicks, and they are happening because this is a very fast, this voltage is turning on and off very fast. So the way to smooth that, slow that down a little bit, is with an envelope generator, which of course we've looked at before. So let's do this. Now it's already got rid of some of the clicks because this envelope generator is not, even at its fastest, it's not instant. That's 2 milliseconds. Okay, so this is how we can sort of gradually, let's get rid of the modules we're not using. We're not using that one either, are we? Now, there are various ways we can add to this, which we see this is a basis of a sort of simple melody. We could obviously put effects and filters and other things on here, but let's just, where is this? Somewhere here. Yeah, here we go. Duplicate cabinet with external cables. So that will do this. So now we have the same patch twice. Okay, but what we're going to do is take, so that they're all in sync, we're going to take everything from this one LFO here. Okay, now obviously at the moment they're playing the same note, so it's not sounding very interesting, but let's there's a few things we could do here. Let's go, let's just try this. If we go into here and then we invert this one, Okay, so that's kind of interesting. We could also okay, so this is just an idea of how we can start to try and make a melody, and then we can make it more complex. One of the little rules that I have, it's not really a rule, but I don't know what it is. My opinion, I guess, is I like to make the bass or the lower notes happen less often, like this. Because that's sort of generally what happens in music, I think, that the bass, it's a bit like objects, a bit bigger objects have more mass and move slower. Maybe you want sort of tinkly bits up high. Now we could add another, copy this patch again and add a higher and maybe more frequent. Where did I go from there? It's going into there. Oh, I see. So that's just a guideline, and as you experiment with it, I'll just show you some examples of some. These will obviously be not all free modules, but these are some that I've been playing around with. Okay, so okay, so those are some examples of different ways you can experiment with generative music, and I hope that wasn't too. It was longer than I meant it to be. I hope it wasn't too boring, but there's a lot of fun in playing with generative music, and I hope that helps someone to get started. All right, have fun.